Hi friends, I am Dr. Krupa Rasane, professor from Jain College of Engineering, Belgavi. I'll be dealing with the course Network and Cybersecurity, which is a professional elective course for the final year 8th semester students prescribed by VTU Belgaum. We know earlier two lectures we have seen the prerequisites of this particular course. And now we will be beginning with the syllabus. In the module 1, we are dealing with the transport level security, which is again prescribed textbook is William Stallings. So all my notes or PPTs will be taken from this particular chapter. So let us look now at the transport level security. In this particular course or lecture, we will be dealing with the web security considerations. The other subtopics are secure socket layers, the transport layer security, HTTPS, and secure shell SSH. So these are the five subtopics that mainly is dealt in module 1. In this lecture, we'll be taking up the web security considerations. So what is web security? Web is now widely used by business and everybody is using web. Government, individuals is using, but internet and web are vulnerable. Vulnerable means they are not safe. The web have a variety of threats. Which are the threats? One is the integrity, means trusting. So when I communicate something to another person, I need to trust that that person is the same person with whom I want to communicate. Next is confidentiality. That is, whatever message I am sending to the client from the server, it remains confidential and nobody is going to know what the message is other than the sender and the receiver. Denial of service, making it inaccessible to users, means the message is sent to the concerned client or a client, but what happens is somebody makes it a point that the message doesn't reach the client. So denial of service by various methods they use to do that. Other is the authentication, that is confirming your identity. The client should know whoever has sent me the message is the same person meant to be received from. Hence the need for added security mechanism. Let us look at these various web security threats in the form of a classification, or one way to group these threats is in terms of passive and active attacks. What is passive attacks? It includes eavesdropping on network traffic between the browser and server and gaining access to information on a website that is supposed to be restricted. So confidentiality is lost. The message is there between the browser and server or server and the client, but what happens is somebody else may be looking into it. The message is not disoriented. Active attacks in the other way is it includes impersonating another user or altering the messages in transit between the client and server, and also altering information on the website. So these are mainly the two passive and active attacks. These two attacks are basically, in passive attacks, the information is not disturbed but the eavesdropping happens. In active attacks, actually the message can be altered. After seeing the various classifications, now let us do a comparison of threats on the web. Integrity. The threats posed by this is modification of user data, Trojan horse browser, modification of memory, modification of message traffic in transit. So these are the threats. The consequences are Of course, loss of information, compromise of machine, vulnerability to all other threats. And what are the countermeasures taken? It is the cryptographic checksums. Let us look at confidentiality. What is the actual threat? Here, eavesdropping on the net, theft of info from server, theft of data from client, info about network configuration, info about which client talks to server. And the consequences are loss of information and loss of privacy. How is this confidentiality dealt with? The countermeasures are using encryption and web proxies. The third is the denial of service. And what are the threats? Killing of user threads, flooding machine with bogus requests, filling up disk or memory, isolating machine by DNS attacks. And what are the consequences? Because they are disruptive, annoying, and prevent user from getting the work done. And the countermeasure, this is very difficult to prevent. So let us see how we are going to do the security issues with the web. Next is the authentication. It means impersonation of legitimate users and data forgery. This is the threats that we deal with respect to authentication. The consequences are misrepresentation of user, belief that false information is valid, and this can be taken care by cryptographic techniques. So in this slide, we have dealt with the comparison of the four threats, that is integrity, confidentiality, denial of service, authentication on the web, and compared them with the threats, consequences, and countermeasures. Friends, in our earlier two lectures, we have seen the OSI model and what is the TCP/IP protocol stack. So let us see how we can build the security features in this layers of the OSI model. So if you look at in the network level, how the security can be built into this level, in the transport level, how security can be built, and in the application layer, how the security can be built. So a number of approaches to providing web security are possible. The various approaches that have been considered are similar in the services they provide and to some extent in the mechanism that they use. But they differ with respect to their scope of applicability and their relative location within the TCP/IP protocol stack. So where the location is important, whether it's at network level, transport level, or application level. So friends, we have seen the web traffic security approaches, and we know that a number of approaches are there to provide web security. The various approaches that have been considered are similar in the services they provide and to some extent in the mechanism that they use. But they differ with respect to their scope of applicability and their relative location within the TCP/IP protocol stack. So relative location of security facilitates in the TCP/IP protocol stack, and it includes, we have seen, as network level of OSI, transport level of OSI, and application level of OSI. So network layer of OSI, we have seen this is the application layer, the transport layer, and this is the network layer, and we are talking about this particular layer. One way to provide web security is to use IP security, IPsec in the network layer. The advantage of using this IPsec is it is transparent to end users and applications and provide a general purpose solution. IPsec includes a filtering capacity, as I told you earlier, so that only selected traffic need incur the overhead of IPsec processing. Transport level of OSI. So this is the application, this is the transport, and this is the network. A relatively general purpose solution this is to implement this security just above the TCP as shown in this figure. And the foremost example of this approach is the secure socket layer or SSL and follow on internet standard known as transport layer security. So this is where we look at more elaborately further on. At this level, there are two implementation choices. For full generality, SSL or TLS could be provided as part of the underlying protocol suite and therefore be transparent to applications. Alternatively, SSL can be embedded in specific packages. For example, Netscape and Microsoft Explorer browsers come equipped with SSL and most web servers have implemented the protocol. Now let us see how we can build the security at the application layer level of OSI. So we know that these are the protocols Kerberos, which is a protocol using strong cryptography. Then S-MIME, this is nothing but secure multipurpose internet mail extension. This will be seeing more elaborately in module 2. And SMTP is nothing but the simple mail transfer protocol. So this is at the application layer and where we are going to implement the security. So application specific security services are embedded within the particular application as shown in the above figure. The advantage of this approach is that the service can be tailored to the specific needs of a given application. So now, coming to the summary of this particular video lecture, we have seen the transport level security of module 1. In that, we have seen web security considerations where we have seen the four threats that we look at: integrity, confidentiality, denial of service, and authentication. And we have seen how these are the different ways of overcoming these threats. Also, we have seen the levels at which the securities can be incorporated, and this lecture will be followed by lecture 4, module 1 2, and it deals with the transport layer security, the secure sockets. So I now thank you for listening to this video lecture. Do feel free to ask any questions.